I'd like to call the meeting to order. The commissioners present. Let's do commissioners present first. I'm Don Griffin, chair.
Eric Sandweiss.
David Walter.
Okay.
Cindy, can you unmute?
Cindy, can you hear us?
Well, we see that she's there.
Yeah, but that's not good.
Hi, Alex.
Hello.
Does anyone know her telephone number?
Yeah, I can try to call her.
Yeah, because we're going to need her to be able to respond to whatever we're doing.
You want to go ahead and proceed?
Yeah, I guess we can. Who else is? Let's do a roll call of. Can I just do a roll call of who I see on the Zoom?
Yes.
Why don't we do it that way? That way we got an order. So Christina Finley.
I'm here.
Angela Van Roy.
Yep, I'm Neighborhood Services Program Manager.
Okay, Jeff.
Jeff Underwood, City Controller, Treasurer for the RDC.
Okay, Doris Sims.
Doris Sims, Housing Neighborhood Development Director.
Grant.
Matt Smellers with Planning and Transportation.
Okay. Crawley.
Alex Crowley, Director of Economic and Sustainable Development for the City of Bloomington.
Okay, and Sue Wanzer. But did you already? Yeah, go ahead. It's fine.
I was in and then I was out and now I'm in representing MCCSC.
Okay. And then Karen, we can't get her. Katz is here. You don't have to say anything, Katz. Cindy Kennard, I can never say her name. You're there, but we can't hear from you right now. So let's go on to Larry Allen. Are you here, Larry?
Yeah, Larry Allen Legal.
Okay, perfect. And then we have no idea who 812-345-4308 is. That's a city number though, isn't it?
Hey, Don, I'm on. It's Cindy.
Oh, Cindy. Hey, okay. And what do you do, Cindy?
I had to call back in. For some reason, the sound wasn't working for me. But I'm here.
Okay, so Cindy, Redevelopment Commissioner. Okay. All right, let's go to roll call. So we did our roll call. Let's do a reading of the minutes. Is there a motion to approve the minutes for April the 9th, 2020?
This is Cindy Kennard, and I motion approval.
I'll second that motion.
And who is that? Let's call
Dave
out our
Walter.
names. Dave Walters. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Aye. All opposed? None. The motion carries. Examination of claims. Is there a motion to approve the claims registers for April the 17th, 2020 and May the 1st, 2020?
Eric Sandweiss, so moved.
David Walter, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? None. The motion carries. Examination of payroll registers. Is there a motion to approve the payroll registers for March the 27th, 2020?
David Walter, I'll make a
Cindy.
motion to accept those.
I'll do second. This is Cindy Kennard, second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
All
Aye.
opposed? All opposed? None. The motion carries. Next, let's have officers and committees. Is there a director's report?
Yes. Sorry you can't see me, but I still look the same.
Okay.
So I was hoping that our new board member, Nick Kappas, was going to be on the call tonight. He was sent information about the Redevelopment Commission introductory packet that I give all new commissioners, as well as he was sent notification of the meeting. So I will follow up with him after the meeting or later on this week to see why he wasn't able to join us tonight. As I mentioned last month, we received a special allocation of CDBG COVID-19 money. So I've been working on the special application for that funding, as well as an application process timeline period of time. And hopefully we will be able to release that within the next couple of weeks. And also, Larry and I have been working with the potential developer for the 1730 South Walnut Street, former Night Moves property, to work on a kind of like, not a funding agreement, but I guess you would call memorandum of understanding. So we hope to have that completed by the end of this week, and hopefully we can bring it to the next commission meeting. And then the Redevelopment Commission, or the hand department, through its home dollars, acquired a lot on 10th Street where we helped a homeowner to build a house. That house caught on fire. That the property went to tax sales. We purchased it back, and then we had to convey the property from the hand department to the hand department and care of the Redevelopment Commission. So we will be now looking to dispose of that property. We've received appraisals on it. And so we look to put a notice of bid for disposition of the property, and hopefully we will have that ready either by the next Redevelopment Commission meeting or the one after that. So that's all I have. Are there any questions?
Oh, you've been busy.
I try.
Yeah. Is there a legal report?
Just briefly, we will have to add a resolution to the agenda tonight. It's going to be resolution 2026. And the gist of that resolution is because it has been brought to our attention that there have been some individuals that have formed an encampment on 621 North Rogers Street, which is a redevelopment commission property. This had happened last year, and it seems like with the regrowth of some underbrush, that encampment has returned. It'll become necessary for us to send in a team of individuals wearing appropriate safety equipment to clear the encampment, and then to clear some of the underbrush to make sure that we don't create any unsafe situation, both for the individuals residing in the encampment, but also the surrounding neighborhoods. So that's going to be resolution 1620. I'll circulate that here, and then when the appropriate time comes, I can read it into the record and share my screen with everybody so you have a sense of what that'll be.
All right, and we're going to have to talk about that a little bit too, to if you guys don't mind, because last time we got some grief for that in the paper and Facebook and all that other stuff. So yeah, we'll discuss it. Let's see, who's next? Is that it, Larry? Or do we have any more?
Otherwise, I'm here to answer any questions the commissioners have.
Okay. Is there a treasurer's report?
Just to say that we had our annual budget advance with the council, and we did add some extra information talking about potential revenue losses. We'll be monitoring revenues that come in, obviously with TIF revenues. Those are property taxes, and if you've been reading the news, there's some concerns on the county side of assessed values dropping dramatically. Obviously, that would hit TIF revenues first because we collect above the baseline. So we'll see how those go. The first round, we're not panicking on anything. We have sufficient reserves to make bond payments, but we will be keeping the RDC up to date as we get information about where revenues are headed. That's it.
All right. Is there a CTP update report?
Yeah, it's not a report per se about that, but I do have I wanted to bring everybody's attention to something, and Jeff, feel free to jump in if you'd like. But so back in the end of 2018, some of you were on the RDC already, some of you are not, which is why we're bringing it up. The RDC, I think it was resolution 1870, voted in favor of supporting CDFI-friendly Bloomington, and allocating $1 million to CDFI-friendly Bloomington as capital that they might be able to put into deals as they develop their organization and started to create CDFI deal flow into Bloomington. So that was approved, and we have not yet issued that payment, but they have, in the meantime, since that time, created the organization, built up their processes, and they're basically ready to activate. And in fact, it's a pretty good time for them to do that in this crisis. So what they've done is they've approached us and they said, all right, you know, we got your original approval for that $1 million. We built up our organization. Can we now bill you for that and receive that $1 million so we can start doing our work? So we, Jeff and I talked a little bit, and we wanted to make sure that, you know, before we went ahead and did anything, we brought everybody up to speed on that original approval, and that we, you know, raised it with you all so that you knew that this request had been made and that we were, you know, intending to fulfill it. So Jeff, I don't know if you want to add anything.
No, just to remind, you know, as Alex said, you know, there's been a period of time that's transpired since then. So rather than just everybody seeing $1 million transfer on a claims form, we just wanted to bring it back up that they're now ready for us to disperse those funds, and we'll be working with them to do that. Thanks to Larry, who worked very hard on getting that agreement set up so that it would work with the requirements for the use of TIF funds, and he can answer any other questions related to that.
Any questions, guys? Are we good? Okay.
So are these so I understand, are these funds already encumbered by particular promises, or is it just that they will be available now to go into the process by which you consider applications for funding?
What we had, part of the reason why we've been working on this is to set up a process where the funds would qualify for use with restrictions of the TIF. So we believe we've worked out a process where we'll be able to transfer the $1 million over to them. It was encumbered by the funding agreement. So in the sense that we've been holding back and talked through several scenarios on how the funds would be distributed. But Larry was able to work his magic so that they will create a fund. We'll move the money over, and then there's certain reporting requirements back to the staff as well as the RDC on the use of those funds going forward.
Yeah, I just want to jump in and say that's exactly correct. So they will have to create what's considered a neighborhood development fund because with this particular money, they can use the money in the ways that the RDC is given powers to use it. And one of the ways is to fund and establish a neighborhood development corporation, which in part helps with affordable housing within and serving the TIF. And so that's what this funding would be used for. That's what we would expect them to keep records of for every dollar expended and report back, just as we would have to do if we were expending the money, so that there's a detailed accounting of what this money is used for, what it's leveraged for in the projects. And speaking with CDFI Friendly in Bloomington, they're pretty encouraged and pretty excited that they'll be able to work with us in focusing this in the developments in the TIF.
And Eric, if your question also included whether or not they themselves had encumbered funds, right? So that's the other half of it. They are only getting going now. So I mean, they have not committed any of these funds yet in any formal way to any projects, but they you know, see this opportunity that's sort of upon us, and I think that can step in and start to do that. So I think the sooner that we can get over to them the funds, they can get some deal flow going.
Thanks. So it'll be on them then to publicize and to make clear the availability and the requirements that will come with it. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. Any other questions?
Just a quick question. So this is just really informative because the action on this has already been taken previously, and whatever contingencies were out there have been cleared.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, let's go on to new business. The next item of business is Resolution 20-24, approval of the 2020 neighborhood improvement grants. Who would like to speak in regards to this?
I will, Angela Van Roy. So just to give you a quick rundown of the process here, we had 4 letters of intent received for neighborhood improvement grants on the 17th of February. Of those 4, we actually had 3 who submitted formal applications on the 23rd of March. Council members, we have 5 council members. Cindy is one of them, as you probably all know, she volunteered at a recent meeting. Also Roy Ayton from Planning and Transportation, Nate Nickel from Public Works, and then I had 2 representatives from neighborhood associations, Sharon Yarber, who is from Matlock Heights, and Linda Woods, who is from Eastern Heights. And the council, we did everything remotely, as you can imagine. So they were provided with all of the documentation for the applications, reviewed everything. In the middle of that process, we had to reduce the total budget by half. So we started out with $30,000 and ended up with 15. So I got back in touch with all of the applicants and requested that they give me new budgets, scale down the projects in such a way, let us know what they could get accomplished with a much smaller amount of money and still have something that was worth doing and could actually be accomplished. So they all did an excellent job of that, brought their budgets down substantially. And when the council met on the 27th of April, just last Monday, they did agree to fund all of the requests in full, because then with the reductions of the budgets, it was actually within the $15,000 total budget. So just to give you an idea of the projects that are involved, the Bloomington Housing Authority Residents Council, who has been funded numerous times in the past. So I'm sure this is, for those of you who've been on the commission in the past, this will be familiar to you. They will be offering again this year their back to school bash, where they have, I think, 317 students currently living in residence at Bloomington Housing Authority properties. And they provide school supplies, a backpack, and hygiene products for kids for back to school. In addition to that, this year, they had requested money to install 3 informational kiosks at 3 different locations within their properties to try to encourage and improve the communication among the residents there. And they put these in 2 different locations in Walnut Woods, which is down off of on Miller Drive. So that's quite a bit removed from where their main office is, off of 11th Street. And then another one within the 11th Street sort of larger complex to the west, where there is a new park there, and they wanted a kiosk there as well, because they do get folks from that part of their residents saying that they don't feel like they're really in the loop of what's going on. So that was an addition. So the back to school bash plus the 3 kiosks, and their total budget that they requested was $4,532.78. Sorry, 74 cents. The second application was from the Park Ridge East Neighborhood Association, and they are in the midst of a multi-year project. They did get funding last year, a substantial amount of funding from Neighborhood Improvement Grant, over $23,000. They're working on a project in conjunction with Parks and Recreation in the Park Ridge East Park. And they have done a very good job of eliminating invasive plants from a large area of the park and replacing them with natives. They've created a butterfly garden. They've got a walking path and some gates to mark things off. They're doing a lot of work there, and they have a lot of neighborhood involvement to do that. So they actually scaled their project back substantially. Originally, they were asking for over $17,000, and they ended up asking for and receiving $3,488. So they've reduced the scope of the project. It is ongoing, and they have a good group of folks in the neighborhood who are continuing to work on that on their own as well. The final one was from Prospect Hill Neighborhood Association, specifically their committee for Rose Hill Cemetery. Again, they had gotten funding in the past as well for some improvements there. This year, they were asking for money for a bench and 25 section signs, which would help to allow people to more easily find specific grave sites in the cemetery, just to be able to identify what section of the cemetery that you were in when you're on the ground. And with their scaled back version, we were able to fund 12 signs. They eliminated the bench this time around, but 12 of the original 25 signs that were requested. And their total budget for that is $6,780. So with all three of those, the commission decided that it would, or sorry, the council, the neighborhood grant council decided that they could go ahead and offer to fund all of those. And the total amount out of the $15,000 budget, it comes to $14,800.74. So I'm presenting this to you all and requesting that you approve those funds. And I'd be happy to take any questions.
Any questions from any commissioners?
I would just like to thank Angela for her leadership and working with these groups. It was no small task to go back to them and say, you know, thanks for your original submission, but now I need you to sharpen your pencil. And she did a really good job. And I also appreciate the group's willingness to work with us. Definitely made our decision comprehensive and somewhat easier for sure.
Yeah, I just want to say, looking down here at the list of grant requests plus the additional funding that's leveraged with this, I think this is a good deal.
Okay, that was David Walters. Hello, David?
Yeah, that was Dave Walter.
Yeah, okay.
No S.
Sorry. All right. Any other questions or comments? All right. Can we have a motion?
I'll move approval of, is it resolution 20-24?
Mm-hmm.
Cindy Canarney seconds.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Oh, you know what, guys? We all need to say it individually. That we need to say that we approve this individually.
That's right, Don. Thanks for catching that. Christina, would you mind calling the roll for everybody, or do you want me to?
That'll work. Somebody.
I can call the roll. Donald Griffin.
Here. Yes. Approve.
Eric Sandweiss.
Aye.
Dave Walter.
Yes.
Cindy Canarney.
Yes.
Okay. The resolution passes unanimously.
All right.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
We have the next item of business is resolution 20-25, approval of change orders for the West 17th Street reconstruction project. Who would like to speak in regards to this?
I'm Matt Smithers with Planning and Transportation. Beam Longus and Neff has been providing the construction inspection services for the West 17th Street project. As most of you are aware, there were delays on the project, pushing the completion date until mid-June of this year. BLN's original contract ran through the end of last year, so this supplement would cover the cost of their inspection services through the end of the project this June. They are anticipating an additional 648 hours of work at a cost of $88,500. We would only pay for the hours actually used, so the $88,500 is a not to exceed amount. If we use less than that, then that's what we would pay for. We're not responsible for the whole amount if we do not use it. I can take any questions you may have.
Any questions, folks, from any redevelopment commissioners or comments?
What's the
All right.
projected date of completion now?
As of now, it is June 14th.
Hey, is this reasonable? I mean, what was it their fault? Was it, I mean,
We had the utility delays and then the delays for the rock excavation. So they're providing the inspection services for the project.
Okay.
So this is just a continuation of their services at the same rates that they were previously provided at.
Okay. All right. Can we have a motion?
This is David Walter. I'll make a motion. We approve resolution 20-25.
Cindy Canarney, second.
All those in favor? Don Griffin, aye.
Eric
David
Sandweiss,
Walter,
aye.
yes.
Cindy Canarney,
Cindy Canarney, yes.
Eric Sandweiss.
Aye.
All right, the motion passes unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you. And let's go to, we have that extra resolution, don't we? We have resolution 20-26 that Larry Allen wanted to add on to this. What is the, I don't remember what it is though. What?
One clarification I would like to note that I'm not personally wanting to add this onto the agenda as much as the city of Bloomington has requested this be added onto the RDC's agenda formally.
Okay.
This is resolution, and I don't know if Christina can share her screen, if she can pull it up. If not, I don't have permission to share my screen, but I'll happily read it into the record. This is resolution 20-26. This has also been emailed out to you, so you should have it at this moment.
Okay.
In your email boxes.
Brand
It's
new.
approval of entry and cleanup of 621 North Rogers Street. Whereas the Redevelopment Commission of the City of Bloomington owns property at 621 North Rogers Street, which is south of West 11th Street, east of Bender Lumber, and north of the Beeline Trail. Recently has come to the city's attention that there has been unlawful entry into the RDC's property, and an encampment has been established on the property, which has raised significant public health and safety concerns for the individuals within the encampment and surrounding neighborhoods. Whereas city staff have negotiated a contract for professional services cleanup crew, which will use safety protocols to remove the encampment. Whereas the City of Bloomington public resource officers have notified individuals within the encampment that they must vacate the property. Whereas the estimated cost of the removal shall not exceed $2,500, $2,500. And whereas there are sufficient funds in the RDC General Fund, otherwise known as the 444 account, to cover the cost of the services. With this resolution, the RDC would approve the entry and completion of the services to make safe the property at 621 North Rogers Street. The RDC would further approve an expenditure not to exceed $2,500. The controller would take the funds from the RDC's general account 444 15 15 000 53990. And nothing in the resolution would remove the requirement for the RDC's normal expenditure and approval procedures. The RDC would request that a follow-up report be given to the commission following the work detailing the precautions taken and the remedy for future security of the property. And the funding in the resolution shall expire August 1st, 2020, unless explicitly extended by the RDC. And Donald Griffin, president of the RDC, would be authorized to sign the agreement for the services on behalf of the Redevelopment Commission.
Okay. How can we stop?
I went fast, so I'm happy to answer any questions.
No, how can we stop this from, there's two questions on the table. How do we stop this from happening? And again, I mean, are there a bunch of trees that provide cover, that are expendable trees? And then the other question is, are there some people on the Redevelopment Commission who might have a problem with displacing homeless folks? So those are questions that we probably should raise a little bit, talk about, I would think.
I am happy to answer the first question. The first question is that there's specifically underbrush, so it's not particularly trees that are causing any issues. There's kind of bushes and underbrush on that property that obscure a relatively small portion of the property from the street view.
So can we get rid of, can we actually get rid of all that underbrush?
Yes, and that would be the plan, is to get rid of that underbrush and clear that out so that at least that part's visible from the street.
Okay, I like that.
And that's one of the reasons why, just to address maybe some of the second concerns, I can't answer obviously for the commissioners, but one of my questions was whether we've engaged our public resource officers. So the City of Bloomington Police Department have public resource officers available for these types of services. We have engaged those officers to work with the individuals in the encampment. They were the ones that provided notice. And I think as part of the reporting back to the RDC, I think it would be fair to see what services were offered to these individuals and to see what happened to them afterwards, to the extent that we can possibly tell in terms of the services offered.
So Larry, part of the services that the public resource officers are engaged in is that trying to relocate these folks to better accommodations and working with them on kind of their next steps?
Cindy, that was my understanding. I would want to have a little bit of a deeper dive and conversation before I could say affirmatively 100% yes. But my understanding from talking to Adam Wason, the Director of Public Works, who has kind of been spearheading some of these activities, that was exactly some of the work that they were doing. They were not only notifying them, but also giving them options of safe places to go. And we've had this problem come up not just on RDC property. This is obviously the RDC property.
Sure.
There's been several news stories. We've had some encampments around the west side of town as well that have had problems with fire, and just they pose public safety concerns, public health and safety concerns to the residents of the encampment themselves, just because they can kind of be dangerous places. So that's one of the things we want to make sure that we're addressing, but as humanely as we possibly can.
Okay. Any other questions or concerns?
I guess to build on Don's original question. So our action today is really pursuant on, that is, it's following a separate decision which belongs to other people, that this indeed is going to be the policy. That is that these folks who are here will be removed from that site, for want of a better term. That is, am I correct in saying that our action is, given that that is taking place or will take place, and that has been decided by other more appropriate sources, given that, we are saying now we find it an appropriate use of our funds to go in and, I'm not sure what cleaning exactly involves, but we are authorizing use of funds for some physical improvement of the site. Do you understand the distinction that I'm asking about?
I think so, Eric, and please obviously correct me if I'm wrong and misunderstanding your question. So the funds that would be expended here is that there's a team of individuals that wear full PPE, as we've heard about so much in terms of literally dealing with hazardous materials, potential bodily waste, things like that, needles that we don't know whether they exist that has been there before in the past. And so we've taken these precautions. So that is what the funds are, is to hire this team that's specially trained in terms of that, and removing, if there are belongings left behind, which is not uncommon, or if there are, like I said, whether it's needles or waste or other types of trash, or to try to that this group would be trained to remove that safely, so it wouldn't pose a harm to city staff, obviously people who are untrained doing it, or it wouldn't pose any harm to the residents. I believe that also part of this funding, or at least discussed as part of the solutions, as I mentioned to Don, which would be removal of underbrush. So that would require bringing in of some sort of machinery. We have people that are already contracted with the city that do this on a regular basis. They would come in and kind of remove that underbrush and kind of clear out that land to create an open space, so that it would be a little bit safer in terms of just the visibility, so that police officers driving by and patrolling the area could clearly see what's happening, what's going on there, and to make sure that the property was clear.
I get what you're saying, Eric. You're saying we're not deciding on whether or not to act as police, like, or we're not calling for that. We're just paying for cleanup, basically.
And
Is that
that's
what you're
correct.
basically? Yeah.
And that's correct. The policy decision, I suppose, is not what the RDC is deciding here. The RDC is literally granting entry for these services to be performed and paying for the services themselves.
Yeah.
I think it's an important distinction, particularly if one envisions earth-moving equipment, you know, coming into the site and saying who sent those. You know, it is kind of important to kind of trace the path of decision making. I want it to be clear where we sit on that path.
Don, I have a couple of questions for Larry. How many people will be displaced, and are there any children there?
But Sue, I don't know the answer to that question. That's a
Okay.
good question. I don't know the answer to that question, how many people there or if there are any children there. My understanding is that there have been no children there. I didn't get any notice of any children, but I will certainly follow up on that, and I'm happy to report back to the commission.
Thanks, Larry. I also wonder what is this property that is owned by the RDC? What is it, part of the B line? I'm just wondering why we own this property.
So this is property that originally it went from the B line all the way north to 11th Street. Part that was closest to B line was sold by the RDC a few years ago for the Pedcore development. So there's now a housing project, an apartment complex there immediately to the south. The thought is that there are basically two parcels that sit north of that Pedcore property, that apartment building, and that these are ideal for supporting development of the trades district. So this is where you could potentially put some workforce housing that would serve the trades district in the future. So that's why the RDC owns this property. It's part of the strategic redevelopment of the trades district.
Thank you very much. And I assume this will be like the last time a cleanup occurred. There were staff there, there were social workers, there were resources to help relocate people if they wanted that.
Yes, that's we wouldn't deviate from that practice as far as I know. I asked if it was going to be the same as previously, and I was told yes.
Thank you.
But keep in mind, we have nothing to do with that. All we're talking about doing is doing the cleanup. The policing will happen before that.
Right, I understand that, Don. I was just curious about, because it doesn't matter what we're authorizing or not, the city as a whole is going to get blamed like last time. So I just figured the more information we had about the justification, the better, because I don't think anybody wants to displace folks if they have no place to go, but I understand the policy decision.
I need you to get out of the street, though, please.
It's one of Melanie's great background skills.
Okay, all right.
Words
It's a
that I
background,
use.
fag background, okay. All right. Any other questions, folks, or concerns? Let's move for a motion, I guess.
This is Cindy Canarney. I move approval of resolution 20-26.
Eric Sandweiss, second.
All those in favor? Don Griffin? Yes.
David Walter,
Yes.
Cindy Canarney,
Yes.
Eric Sandwise,
Yeah.
Dawn Griffin.
Yes.
I think that was everybody.
And Christina, it looks like Nick Kappas has joined us, our newest redevelopment commissioner.
Oh, okay.
I'm terribly sorry. I had really bad technical issues with my computer, and I finally got it all to work.
Well, great.
So
Welcome,
really
Nick.
apologize. Thank you.
But Christina, would you like to add Nick to the role?
Yes. So you want to go by Nick or Nicholas?
Nick is fine.
Okay. Nick Kappas?
Yes. Just so everyone knows, I was able to jump on and hear that conversation, and I read the packet before, so I feel confident in voting.
Okay. All
Okay,
right.
Matt, and the motion has passed unanimously. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Well, folks, that actually concludes our redevelopment commission meeting. Unless someone has some other, is there anything else? Any other business that anyone has or any questions?
I just wanted to express my sincere apologies. I really was like working for the last half hour to get, or 40 minutes to get on. For some reason, my computer would not allow Zoom to work. So I'm looking forward to working with everyone on this commission, and if I do have questions about the commission, I hope that I can reach out to each one of you for some guidance on how things have been done.
Okay, thank you, Nicholas.
Don, I neglected, and so did Alex, to say that work on the garages is progressing, and we have the first bid package out on 4th Street, which is foundations and some related items. And I believe those are due May 18th. So we will have an award for those coming up. And Larry will coordinate that with you, Don, on the opening of those. And then the awards would come. We would inform the RDC of the results of those. Obviously, we've contracted with Wilhelm to build the garage, but they have to follow our procedures for bidding. So we don't necessarily have to approve those. There will be documents that we do approve with Wilhelm, but just wanted to give you an update on where we stand with those.
Okay, you know what? I do have another question. What the I've had a chance to tour the park, the Switchyard Park, a couple of times over the last several weeks, and there hasn't been anything getting done. I haven't seen anything. I haven't seen any movement.
I will defer to Parks. I had not talked to Dave since he came to you all last meeting to get approved for additional funds. They do have deadlines in that contract, so I assume that weather permitting, the work will be getting done. I can tell you that we did, in cooperation with Switchyard Park and Whittle Brothers, there was a lot of dirt that had to be removed from the Trades District garage site to lower that, to build the foundations and the bottom level. And we were able to take several cubic yards of dirt there. So I know that there has been work going on. The weather has been kind of iffy on that, but we were able to deliver them dirt that they can use, and they would not have to pay for then, and helped us out as well.
Okay. Okay.
If, Don, if I'm not mistaken, is it May 24th? Is that the official date that the work was supposed to be done, or else there was going to be a penalty assessed?
It was November of I think it was November of last year.
So there were, let me just quickly jump in if you don't mind.
Yeah, help me out.
There were two dates discussed. So in the city's communications, originally it was understood that everything except for seasonal plantings would be done for the November deadline, and that was communicated to Weddle. That did not happen. However, in the contract, there is an ultimate completion date for all services, and that is May 24th.
Okay, and that is in the tune of how much again?
It kind of depends on how you would calculate it, but there would be, for any date missed that's not excusable and notice to the city past the May 24th deadline for sure. There are liquidated damages that are on a per day basis. I think it's $2,000 per day for every day you run over that. But there have been communications to Weddle that's been ongoing, obviously, as Dave alluded to last time, and everybody is clear that there's a strong expectation for that May 24th deadline to be the full completion of the park.
Yeah, good luck. I mean, never mind. Do we have any other contracts with Weddle Brothers right now? Any other deals that we're working on with them?
No, they did the oversight construction management services for the Trades District and the kiln.
That's what I thought. Okay.
And we were very satisfied. We had no issue. In fact, we had the complete opposite experience with that side of things than we did with the actual construction down at Switchyard Park.
Okay. All right. That you answered my questions for now. So Any other questions? Anybody got anything else, or shall we adjourn? Sue?
This is David Walter. I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
All right, let's do it.
Thanks,
Done.
everyone. Stay safe.
Thank you.
All right,
Thank you,
bye-bye.
David.
You all have a good evening.